circuit, which is entirely possible.
You can go circuit shopping in this.
I expect there to be more than one party suing the FCC, and probably some parties that we're friendly with as well, because we didn't get everything we wanted.
Now, how quickly do you see this coming to court?
Well, it depends on when the FCC's rules are actually issued and when they're actually in the Federal Register. I believe we've got 30 days after that to appeal. Some parties may seek reconsideration by the FCC itself, so it can actually go back to the FCC if people want to do that. I don't know why they would do that. I don't think that this carefully carved compromise, there's any wiggle room to change that very much. But I believe it's about either 30 or 60 days, excuse my memory, after the order is published in the Federal Register that folks can start to go to various and sundry courts to get this appealed.
The courts are certainly not a short-term solution to this. And so I think what's likely to happen more quickly is Congress getting engaged, which, as Gigi mentioned earlier, I completely agree with that. The one thing that I would add is that, in addition to focusing on this issue of net neutrality, I think we both agree that we need to do something about universal service, and certainly we need to do something about spectrum, particularly spectrum on the mobile side. There's legislation that's percolating in Congress now around spectrum that I think has bipartisan agreement, and I would strongly encourage, before getting too bogged down in net neutrality, we deal with that issue where there's 100% agreement.
Dean Garfield, your group, the Information Technology Industry Council, back in August, according to news reports, was the host at some of these side meetings that were being held between Google and Verizon and some other activist groups, internet groups. Did what came out of the FCC yesterday reflect your discussions back in August? It
did, but it reflected a evolved version of our discussion. Those discussions took place in the summer. They were subsequently followed up by additional discussion with then Chairman Waxman. Then the process moved to the one that finally resulted in the document, the order, and framework that we saw yesterday. And so, yes, it was a part of the process, but certainly not the end.
Did you invite Gigi Sohn to those discussions?
You did.
We did, yeah. And so, the thing that we thought, which I think Gigi will agree with, and she actually made this point earlier, is that the points of agreement became clear and may have been clear for quite some period of time. And so, rather than continue to have a debate where it appeared to be big business versus small business, public interest versus corporation, Gigi and I both agreed it would be useful to get folks in a room and start talking about where do we agree and where can we reach some resolution and a roadmap for moving forward.
Yeah, Chairman Waxman's legislative proposal really sort of was the baseline here. But the problem was it was really only supposed to be a baseline, and he and his staff was very clear that it was supposed to be the floor and not the ceiling. Unfortunately, I think that it was more the ceiling than the floor. Yes, some minor changes were made. A complaint process was put in there, which is very, very important. But it didn't go as far as we would have liked it. But really, the Waxman process really kicked things off. There were not only ITI meetings, but there were also meetings facilitated by the FCC, which we were not a part of. The Open Internet Coalition, which we are a member of, was part of. Those blew apart after Verizon and Google came out with their agreement, which was roundly criticized from just about everywhere, and nobody was defending that. So those really didn't have as much impact. But really the Waxman, the power of Henry Waxman bringing people together in a room and saying, look, we've got to do something here, really was what got it started. I just wish it hadn't ended there. I wish it had gone a little bit further.
Well, the discussion continues here on the Communicators as well. Thank you for being on here to discuss net neutrality.